Hi y'all. In this video we're just going to talk a little bit about how the timeline works, how to go back and edit past information and see how that moves forward to the rest of what we've done, and to talk a little bit about organizing our project and naming things. So right here I have the KeyholeCube that we did previously, and we can see here that I have two sketches in it. Sketch 1 created the original cube, and Sketch 2 created the keyhole. And then I've got the one body that is the cube, right? So when we're organizing a project like this, sometimes we want to name things well, especially when it starts to get a little more complicated. So I can rename any of these objects. So I can click once and it selects it. I can double click it or click it again, and it's going to go ahead and let me edit it. So I'm going to call this the KeyholeCube, and then Sketch 1 is creates the cube, and Sketch 2 creates the keyhole. And then I can more easily bounce between these things. Notice also that down here in the timeline, I can see that those names follow along. Right? So I've got this first sketch that is the cube, the second sketch that is the keyhole, and these tell us that they're extrude and what body they impacted, right? You can see these controls here. They let me go back in time and see what I did or didn't do along the way. I can play and watch the whole process again. This one's pretty short, but there it is. All right, so if I bring the timeline back to here, I can double click on anything in here and change its values, change what I did. So if I wanted to change this from a 4x4 square to start with, I double click on the sketch in the timeline, or I can edit it up in here, right click and edit, which I'm already doing. And then I can change these values. I can move them around to see them differently just by clicking and dragging. I can double click one to change it. So if I wanted to make this a 5 wide by 3 high, so kind of a maybe more of a picture kind of a format, 3x5, then I can finish that sketch, and now it is the 3x5 by 4 cube. I can do that with an extrude as well and say, gosh, I really want this to be like 2 inches tall. And now we see that my keyhole has a little bit of a problem, so I don't really want it to be just 2. Let's go for 6 inches high. There we go. And notice that all the other things that I did just get recalculated into it. And this keyhole is going all the way through. If you remember when we did that extrusion, we told it to have the extent type of all. So if I said, you know what, I want this original one to be 36 inches, and I finish that sketch, we can see that it is really deep and that hole still goes all the way through. If I had done it, just for the sake of argument, if I had come back and I'd still said distance, and I wanted it to be -4, then it would just be that little bit, right? So you want to tell it what you actually, your end result, knowing that there are likely to be changes as you go through your work. So that's how we can use the timeline to modify our project even after we've done it. We can even change the order that we've done things in if we want. I can go back in time and I can say, gosh, on this one, I want to also create a sketch on here that is we'll just say it's a circle that goes like that. And then we want to extrude that up a little ways, and we've joined that. And then I'm going to do these other things. And so in the timeline, now I've gone back in time and changed history. Before I created the keyhole, I created this element right here. And if I instead went kind of down and through and said OK, right? The cut is still perfectly clean because it does the cut afterwards, right? If I took this and brought it, I can't bring it forward of that, but if I brought that forward to that, we can see that now I can see that cylinder through because I cut the hole in the cube before I brought the cylinder down, right? So we can see how that exists there. So I can change the order in which I did things, I can change the values I did them with, and that gives me a ton of flexibility as I look back in time and change my ideas or my understanding of what the project is. So there it is. That's using the timeline and doing some basic just renaming of bodies and sketches in your project to keep track of things. That's all. Thanks.